Dana White's Contender Series week number 8. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe, turn those post notifications on, and make sure to share the video as well. We will talk about all of these matchups after seeing the fighters on the scales. Let's start it off with fight number 1. It is Brandon Lewis versus Daniel Marcos. I got to ride with Brandon Lewis. He's a Tampa, Florida guy. I have seen him train in person before. I actually got my blue belt from his MMA jiu-jitsu coach, so there is a little bit of a personal tie there. But the kid's pretty damn tough. I mean, he had a good performance against Mo Miller. Even in loss, Mo just wanted to snooze grapple him, lay on top, and just hold. He was trying to throw shots from the bottom. The kid's super aggressive, comes to fight, has been doing martial arts for a lifetime, and has a ton of amateur experience as well. Now, Daniel Marcos has the beautiful record, 12-0. He's coming into this fight with a little bit of the length edge, being the taller guy. He's a decent kickboxer from distance, but will get reckless and brawl a bit. Brandon Lewis, a very entertaining pressure style of fighter. He can scrap, does have good jiu-jitsu skills on the mat. I expect this fight to be a war. I think these guys are going to both go after it from the start. I think Brandon Lewis might be able to lock up maybe a club and sub here. He hurts Marcos on the feet and chokes him out. I think we're going to see Brandon Lewis win, and I think it's going to be an impressive performance in a fight that's pretty damn fun to watch. Both guys tend to bring it. Marcos 12-0. When you see these guys from certain regions and they're 12-0, it's like, who has he fought? The records are okay, but it's not like he has all these notable names. Lewis did fight on the Contender Series previously, and I do have some of that personal tie. So I have seen the guy work in person. I like Brandon Lewis's chances here. He gets a big shot. I think he gets the win. I think he probably gets the contract because the last time he was mentioned after loss on the Contender Series last season by Dana White. Brandon Lewis for the win. I'm going to say club and sub, win by submission. Wouldn't be shocked if this thing did go the full 3, but I see it as action-packed. Both guys looking to secure contracts. Fun fight. Now, we will check out the scales. There is Brandon Lewis, very lean, ready to fight here. And then there is his opponent, Marcos, who definitely lacks in the physical stature. Brandon Lewis, much more well-built. I think he's the more physically strong guy of the two. I think he's going to be more explosive. I think he's going to be quicker. And I do think he's more dangerous on the mat if it does go there. Fun fight here. Good matchup. I think Brandon Lewis for the victory to start it off. As far as the lines, Lewis is a very slight -145 favorite. Marcos at +133 is the dog. I am riding Lewis to win. Let's see what that sub line is for Lewis. +600. To be very sneaky, but club and sub, I don't think it's an impossible feat here in this matchup. We'll ride Brandon Lewis for the win. I think inside of the distance could also go down, +215 for that. But I don't necessarily love props in this fight unless you're looking more for the Hail Mary sniper. Money line, Brandon Lewis could be an okay play. I am pretty confident that he beats Daniel Marquez. The O may go. I do believe it does. Lewis for the victory. Next fight, it is Bruna Brasil versus Marnic Mann. I like Bruna Brazil's stand-up game, but I am concerned that she will be taken down. Mann is going to look for takedowns from the start of this fight. Pressure style of fighter, brawls a bit with the striking to get you against the cage and work trips. We've seen Brazil taken down a bit in the past. She is a long girl and does bring the advantage as far as the height and the length goes, but I think Mann could be difficult to deal with from the top. I see a very pressure-heavy attack, not what the Contender Series is really looking for as far as what Mann's style will have to be to win this fight. If she tries to kickbox with Brazil, I think she's going to get touched up badly here, maybe even TKO'd, but she's going to look to shoot for the legs. I'm going to bank on her with the wrestling to get it done in a competitive decision, but they're looking for the striking of Brazil. If she can fend off those takedowns and control that range, she will win, but I think it's a lot easier said than done here. As far as the scales, we will look at both fighters. There is Mann, solid shape. There is her opponent, who's clearly longer, Bruna Brasil, and you see the height difference. But as far as when they get in close, I think the physical strength is going to edge to the shorter girl. I think we're going to see Marnic Mann pull off an upset win here with a very wrestling-heavy game. Looking at the lines, +163, the best value on Mann. Bruna is -160 as the favorite. I will say going long here is likely, -224 for that over 2.5. Mann to win via decision is +275. I am going to pick Marnic Mann to upset, Bruna Brazil in a competitive bout, and she's got to get on the takedowns, the legs, the clinch. She's got to grapple here. I don't think striking with Bruna Brazil is a good idea because Brazil is slick with the stand-up. She's decent from distance, but I don't think she'll control distance all that well. There'll be moments where Mann will close that gap, and I think that's what leads her to a win here. Upset, Marnic Mann for the win by decision. Next fight, Malik Lewis and Trevor Peek. I actually think this fight could be a potential barn burner, very dependent on if Trevor Peek can keep Malik Lewis off of him. Lewis is going to look to grapple. The pick is going to be Trevor Peek by knockout. He's not technically as good as Lewis, I don't believe, but he's gritty as hell. He hits hard, and he will take one to land one. He'll get into a war. He'll scrap with Lewis. I think Lewis is going to get touched up a bit on the feet here. He's definitely going to be looking to wrestle. You're going to have to deal with a guy in Peek who just won't quit. He won't give up. He won't give in. He'll be constantly pressured. He'll look to get back up. I think he's going to be extremely aggressive with his hands, throwing massive flurries, getting even out of position and wild at times. But I don't know if Lewis is going to have that KO power to really make Trevor Peek pay, which is why I'm picking Trevor Peek. And I think he can actually knock Malik Lewis out here in a hell of a scrap. If Lewis is to win, I really see it as more of a grappling matchup. If it's going to be Peek for the victory, he creates some space. Even if there's scrambles in the grappling, he'll be fairly competitive. He needs to be on the feet. He needs to be unloading the hands. He does have decent knockout power. Last win for him was over UFC vet Worthy. Granted, Worthy's chin is nowhere to be found anymore. Still an impressive win to beat an ex-UFC guy who has victories in the octagon. Trevor Peek for the upset. I think he can get the KO here in a hell of a scrap. We'll check these guys out on the scales. There is Trevor Peek. There is Malik Lewis. And there's your face-off. Good intensity there at the face-off. Trevor Peek's a scrapper. He's fun to watch. As far as the physical stature, you see Lewis a bit longer, but I think the power is definitely going to favor Peek. Maybe even the physical strength also. Wrestling technique, I a little bit lean it towards the side of Lewis, especially with the grappling as well. He could lock up a sub, but I think Peek's overall toughness will lead him to the win here in a hell of a scrap. If they get into the striking, I think Lewis could be in trouble. And I'm going to go Peek to win by KO. As far as the lines, Peek by KO is plus 250. I'm not calling it a lock, but it's a possible outcome. Plus money, underdog, Trevor Peek for the win. A lot of Contender Series dogs do come through, and I think this definitely could be one of them. Trevor Peek for the upset. Next fight on the card. Ikram Aliskerov versus Mario Sousa. Aliskerov's lone loss comes against Khamzat Chimaev by brutal uppercut knockout. You guys have definitely seen it. I did a video reacting to it when Khamzat first burst onto the UFC scene a couple years back. Ikram Aliskerov is now on a 4-fight winning streak, winning in Brave, winning in Eagle FC, beating Ashan Burrell by a decision in the last one. Burrell, he makes it competitive. He gets it 29-28. It wasn't like it's Habib-esque. You see the OV at the end, and obviously that's why you see him as a very wide favorite in this fight. We'll quickly pull up the lines here. Aliskerov is minus 450 best value, but he has a clear wrestling advantage. Mario Sousa, I think, is going to struggle with the takedown. I don't think he'll have the defense here. He's okay on the feet, can get a bit reckless. He makes up for technical deficiencies with athleticism and knockout power and aggressiveness, really. I think Aliskerov is going to be on those legs from the start. It's going to be a wrestling-heavy matchup. I think Aliskerov probably wins a decision. For him to get a contract, I think he'd have to look very dominant in that decision win. Better off, he locks up a sub. It's not impossible. He does have a win recently over Dennis Tulalin via submission, and Tulalin now inside of the UFC. Aliskerov got the OV at the end. Dagestan guy, probably someone the UFC will be very interested in picking up if he is victorious in any bit of impressive fashion. I will pick him to beat the veteran of the Contender Series, Mario Sousa. Last season, he lost to Chidi Njokuani, and now Chidi's burst onto the scene. I just don't feel as Aliskerov is a very good matchup for him. If he is to win, this being Sousa, it's got to be a clean knockout shot. He's got to sneak through an uppercut maybe as Aliskerov is looking for a takedown, maybe land some type of body knee that hurts Aliskerov. I really don't see him matching up very well. As soon as Aliskerov gets a hold of him, you'll see the level difference. Now, as far as the scales, we'll look at these guys. There is Mario Sousa. There is Aliskerov. He don't look super intimidating like some of these other Dagestanis. He seems like the friendly Dagestani, but he's coming to win here. And I do think he gets the win. Sousa not an easy out, and he definitely has a chance, but I think high likelihood win for Ikram And realistically speaking, he's got to get it done. But the odds are hideous here. There's not really any bet you could make. Money line, maybe over 1.5 at -100, but it's not impossible for Aliskerov to lock up a submission. If he was to get a finish, I do lean it sub. It's +200 for sub. Ground and pound TKO, less likely. I would more so lean the submission. So it's +200 for that. Maybe that's a play. To win by decision for Aliskerov is actually upwards of +320. So kind of predicted as a finish here. I definitely think there's a shot for submission. That sub prop seems like a good idea if you're going to play Aliskerov. I'll pick him to win against Mario Sousa. Sousa really just with the puncher's chance. I do think Sousa eventually finds his way to the UFC. He's only 25, but not really a favorable matchup for him here at all. Let's jump to the main event. It is Allan Begosso and Farid Basharat. You got to go with the Basharat, brother. This kid is extremely slick with the striking. I like the way he kickboxes. I love the jab. Allan Begosso, though, is a very powerful striker. And if he lands on that chin of Javid, he can do some serious damage. He's shorter, stockier, definitely packs a serious punch. Team alpha male guy. Might look to wrestle a bit with Farid Basharat, but he's going to find that Farid actually has a pretty capable ground game as well, and he's dangerous from the top position. Basharat should win. I'm going to lean Basharat. Thinking TKO, but I wouldn't be shocked at a decision here. I think it could definitely go the full 3. But for Farid to get the contract, he'd have to look ever impressive in that full 3, really outclassing Begosso. For him to definitely secure it, I think stoppage. More so stoppage. Begosso, I think, will bring it, looking for the stoppage himself. Due to that factor, I think the likelihood of a Farid Basharat win by KO jumps like 30%. So I'm going Farid Basharat by knockout. Kind of thinking second round, he finds that dome. Maybe a good straight down the line, wobbles Begosso, and he TKOs him with some follow-up. Don't necessarily know if it'll be a one-punch KO, but he's going to do some serious damage with some strikes on the feet. And we will check out the scales now. There is Begosso. There is Basharat. You got to ride the Basharat side. I think the stand-up is just going to be a bit of a level better. Even though Begosso is fun to watch and he's very powerful, hands are closer to the face. Farid, more of a rangier style striker. That'll be a big edge for him here. And I think the distance management will be on point. Good kicking game too. Begosso does have serious power, but it's going to be hard to close that gap and land on Farid Basharat. So I am confident with a Basharat win. He is a fairly wide favorite, sitting around -250. 2 at best value. Begosso +250 as the underdog. I'm going to go Basharat, and let's say you went Basharat by KO TKO. It's actually +500, so it's very expected of maybe him locking up a sub on the mat or even winning via decision. Club and sub, definitely not impossible for Farid Basharat here, but I think a technical striking game will definitely be on display, and he might find that opening and get the knockout of Begosso in this matchup, as I think Begosso 100% is going to shoot for it. Good fights on this Contender Series card. I cannot wait for it. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you haven't. Show some love. Subscribe if you're new to the channel and turn on those post notifications too. Before I send you guys off though, if you were looking to parlay things up, how do I feel like you would mismatch it? How would you go? How would you combine this parlay? Where would you play? Well, Aliskerov is a very confident pick, but he's a terrible line. We'll still include him on the slate. Maybe you go Aliskerov, Basharat, and Brandon Lewis, 3-fighter play, +162. I think that would be a decent parlay. I like some of the props as well. Money line dog attacks. I think you'd be playing a little bit of a risky game with either, because I think for Trevor Peak, he's got to find some big punches. For Mann, we're going to find out early. If she can't land that takedown early, the fight's going to go towards Brazil for sure. With Malik Lewis, if Trevor Peak can create that space, I think he can land some devastating punches. Let's say, just for the fun of it, you did do this crazy-ass parlay, it would be +1595. Not suggesting you do, but we got to give you the long shot. Much love, my people. I hope you enjoyed another Contender Series breakdown. Make sure you guys let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you don't have anything to say, but just enjoy the content, as always, drop a W in the chat. As I said before, don't forget, like, subscribe, post notifications on. If you really enjoy, make sure to share the video. On the road to 10K subs, so let's keep it pumping. Much love, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, everyone.